Yo, check it out, man. Anime Hanashi is what you're watching. The podcast that you won't be dropping. That's listed everywhere, causing drama. From the city of Compton to Akihabara. Talking about anime, it ain't no stress. The podcast is sure to impress. With me, Lewis, and the rest of the crew. Sit back, relax, and we'll show you how we do. Oh, yeah.
Hello and welcome to the 5th episode of Anime Hanashi. If you're watching this on YouTube, please consider going to animehanashi.com. There you can get new episodes before everybody else. And of course it's a great way to support the podcast. So today on Anime Hanashi I'm with Kenji the NG and RC Anime. I almost said Matthew there because your name on Skype's Matthew, but
Nah, I'm
nobody calls
I'm
you
RC
Matthew.
Anime. No one calls me Matt, unfortunately.
Does anybody call you Matthew?
No.
Too cool for Matthew. So today we're doing like a kind of Aria themed episode because we're all very big fans of Aria, and it's kind of in celebration of the new OVA. And I've actually never tried to say that out loud. Have you guys? Because I don't know how to pronounce it properly.
Avvenire? I think it's
I've never said it out loud
Avvenire.
before. I've been saying it in my head as like Avvenire. I don't know. It's probably like Italian for something.
It's Italian for future.
Is it?
Yeah. They say it in the first or second season,
Oh, right.
where someone actually calls Akari the Avvenire or something like that.
That's the first season. I believe that's like the episode before the last episode in the season, if I recall correctly. That's one of my favorites.
That makes sense then, considering the kind of context of it. That we won't say because of like spoilers. I'm sure a lot of people haven't watched it yet, but it seems like a lot of people are watching it like right now because of the kind of popularity that OVAs have given it. Like in the comment section of like when I mention it in a video, a lot of people are saying, "Oh, I'm watching it now" and stuff like that, or just started watching it. In celebration of the OVAs, we're going to be doing an Aria themed episode. We'll go on to our first topic, which Matt's going to decide his topic. I wonder what he's going to choose.
I guess Aria, since it's an Aria themed episode. And yeah, you know, like I'm.
And you just watched it, right?
Yeah, and I'm in Venice right now, so I'm recording from Venice.
On a gondola.
Exactly.
Kenji, how long did you watch it ago? Like, I watched it like 6 months ago, maybe?
I watched it the first time like almost 2 years ago, and then I rewatched it very recently this year. And after rewatching it, that's when it became my personal favorite anime, at least for right now. Like, it's so much stronger on the second time because you can really see a lot of the events in the later seasons, like origination being foreshadowed in the earlier seasons, even like in the beginning of animation, which I think is really cool. It's a really well-framed story, which is something that I didn't get as much on my first viewing. Right. And I think it's great when you can appreciate a work more the second and third time you watch it.
Yeah. The majority of like my favorite stuff is like you watch it again and again, it's like a new experience. Like Ghost in the Shell, the movie, I've watched that maybe 15 times, maybe more, and like every single time you kind of notice something new and it gives you a whole new perspective. I think that's like the sign of a good show, if you can watch it and it gives you like a whole new experience the second time through, and then the third and the fourth and the fifth.
Yeah.
Which I just wish I could go back and watch everything, but then I wouldn't have any time to watch new anime. That's the never-ending dilemma.
Do you want to watch new anime?
Yeah, I have no need for new anime anymore. If I wasn't like in a community where like people discussed anime, I don't think I'd watch any seasonal anime. I'd just watch the ones I've already watched over and over again. But I guess you do find some kind of like hidden gems every now and again.
That's true. I mean, like with Eren anime, it's even worse because let's be honest, like this season is just despicable.
Yeah.
I'm not typically the most cynical person, but there's the only show I look forward to watching every week is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and that's it. Like no other show from this season that I'm watching like appeals to me at all.
Yeah, I agree.
Kekai Sensen a little bit, but not that much.
Yeah, Kekai Sensen is like the odd, like, oh, that was a pretty good episode, but there's nothing
Kekai
like...
Sensen's more for the director. The story isn't really that good.
Yeah.
The direction is pretty good, though. There's interesting choices in there.
Nothing this season that I'd go, after the season's finished, I'd go, oh, you should check out that. Like, even like last season, even winter season, which is generally the worst season of the year, winter, because it's just after fall, and all studios like they put out all their best stuff in fall, and then winter's normally kind of like nothing new comes out. But even winter had like 2 or 3 shows that I'd go, oh, you should watch that. But this season, spring hasn't had anything. But yeah, so Matt, why don't you tell us your experience with Aria? So.
Well, Aria is a how do I even describe it? It's very meditative. It's spiritual renewal type of series. I mean, it's something that grows onto you because, of course, initially when I started animation, I enjoyed it and I found it likable, but I didn't really.
You probably wondered why everyone was like, "Oh, this is a masterpiece."
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people
because I was
get
curious
that.
on why, and it didn't really hit me until I finished Origination. Not even when I was watching Origination. When I finished Origination, and I realized that no Aria left to watch. As of right now, that's the moment when I was like, "Wow, yeah, Aria is like probably one of the best anime I've ever seen, and is also one of the best anime ever written in terms of its story and how it builds up, with its like world building and." Just its placement of the characters, its use of music in it. It also gives you a sense of appreciation more for where you live, I think.
Yeah.
It's like you think about the hidden gems in like your own town or city.
That is something that done like very few anime have built the world as well as Aria did. Like some anime have like Technolize and stuff like that, they've built the world up, but Aria really made the location one of like the main focuses of the show, which is something that like very few anime have done successfully.
And it doesn't take away from the characters either while doing that.
Yeah. A thing I really like about Aria is how the seasons are structured. The first season animation gives you like an idea of how the rest of the show is going to feel, and it pretty much introduces the main cast. And then Natural, it places its focus on the world, and it has this big motif about all of the beauties and the gems hidden around the world. And a lot of the episodes really capitalize on that idea. And that's why Natural is one of my favorite seasons. And then Origination takes everything that Natural and Animation built up upon, and it gives you a lot of closure, and it pretty much finishes the story. And then it throws in this whole element of the progression of time, which I really liked as well.
Yeah.
So it's really cool.
Yeah, I like to think about it as the animation is kind of like introducing you to everything, and then the Natural is spending time with everything. That's when you really get to, because a double the length of the other ones, so you get to spend some good time, explore the world, and then Origination is obviously saying goodbye, which is not what you really want to do, but I mean it does it in like literally the best way possible. I don't think they could have made it any better really the last season. I think like some of my favorite episodes of all time have been, or if I were to like somehow make a list and be able to do that, I think like Origination would have like so many entries on that tops list. It would be crazy.
No, most of my favorite episodes from Aria are from Origination too.
Yeah.
I do like the surrealistic element they also gave the entire city.
Yeah.
There's like some subtle supernatural bits here and there, and it made the world feel more mystical and stuff.
Yeah, that was something I wasn't expecting from Aria. Is a kind of the whole storyline with the cats and the kind of magical thing. Although it wasn't like straight up magic, it was like we're hinting at magic's happening here. You can kind of take it as you want, but that whole thing, I was totally not expecting that from Aria, which was really, and they done it so well as well. It's not easy to pull off magic in a story without just straight up being a magic show. It's very hard to kind of slowly implement that because they're kind of like realistic things and magic things are so like much of a contrast. It's very hard to smoothly integrate them both into one story.
There was like a hint of like mystical, there's like a mystical aspect to all of the magic stuff that goes on, and it's handled really subtly too, so it's not like in your face like, oh look, there's magic over here. It's really calm and it's really down to earth despite being magical, and that's what I really like about that element of Aria.
Yeah, it gives it a small level of ambiguity, and I think that one bit just makes the entire show makes the entire world much more intriguing. It like gives the show a lot more. Yeah. Even though the show already was great, but
gives it just that an extra layer.
Yeah,
of,
it's like more
depth.
flavor.
Yeah. It's a really multifaceted work, and there's like a lot of aspects similar to that really bring out everything that Aria is. You have the world building, you have the magic, you have the music, you have the character dynamics and interactions. It's everything just comes together beautifully in this one, like, this masterpiece. Mm-hmm. I don't know what else to call it.
Yeah, it's
perfect.
It is very indescribable. And another element of Aria that I think a lot of people won't be able to relate to is that how accurate the world is to an actual European like old town. That's what it's called in Europe, is an old town, which is kind of Aria is based on Venice, but those kind of type of towns are all around Europe, And if you actually go to one, it's scarily similar to the one in Aria. It like feels like this is like a recreation, and it's so accurate, which is awesome. I don't know if the creators of Aria, they must have gone to Venice and various other European cities, because it's insanely accurate. So I don't know if you guys have ever been to anywhere near Venice or anything.
I'm recording from Venice right now.
Oh, there we go. Oh, I haven't been anywhere in Venice, but I have seen like photographs comparing some of the company buildings in Aria to some of the buildings in Venice, and they're really similar. So they clearly did take a lot of inspiration from there, and it's really shown.
Yeah, I'm assuming they just probably went to Venice, like they do with a lot of other stuff. They go to Venice, they take photos, and then they would trace over their photos.
Yeah.
Because they did that when K-On! Went to London, and they did that with Kekai Sensen in New York.
Yeah, and the movie Steam Boy, that's like it's all London, but they not just based off London, it's like literally London. They use a lot of really famous locations for the movie to be set in, and that was another really good portrayal of the city, because that was super. Like when you go to London and you're like, oh, I'm standing right here where Steam Boy was like where this massive action scene happened in Steam Boy. I quite like that, because like anime doesn't do that as much, since we don't live in Japan. We never really get to like know Tokyo or know any of the Japanese locations, so it's nice when they do like European places or American places. It's pretty cool. What would you guys say to the people that haven't watched Aria right now?
Go watch it.
Right now. Right after.
No, don't even like watch this podcast. Just go check it out, or download it, or buy it.
Don't even finish the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say watch it, but like watch it at your own pace. It's the type of show where you have to lay back and you have to relax and you have to get on its level. Aria's not gonna get on your level. You have to get on its very slow-paced, relaxing level. Yeah. And once you're there, then you can fully appreciate the experience. Yeah. I'd recommend like watching one episode a day if possible, and then watching the last, I'd say 3 or 4 episodes of Origination in a marathon, because they kind of all go together, while the rest of Aria is kind of sort of episodic-ish. Mm-hmm. Like all of the episodes are like their own standalone stories and whatnot. So yeah. Yeah. Should have told that Matt watched it. How long did it take you to watch the whole franchise, Matt?
4 to 5 days.
Oh wow.
I think I took longer. I can't remember exactly how long, but I definitely didn't watch it in 4 days. It's weird though, some shows I did, like you were watching Ergo Proxy recently, and I think I watched all of that in 3 days.
I also completed Ergo Proxy all in 3 days, 3 or 4 days.
Yeah, it's weird how shows can do that. But Aria, I think Aria and Mushishi are ones that you should like. You have to watch really. Well, you don't have to, but you should watch really slowly, because they're kind of like, it's almost like each episode is so standalone that it's like almost going into another anime when you watch the next episode. So it's nice to like let the episodes sink in, stuff like that. I guess you can do that in your rewatch, Matt. You can watch it like 1 episode a day.
Yeah, that would probably be a lot easier for me.
Yeah, I kind of want to I want to rewatch it this summer, but then I'm kind of going to rewatch it when the Blu-rays come out. But then I don't think the Blu-rays will be finished for another year, so I'll probably watch it now and then again when the Blu-rays come out.
Speaking of the Blu-rays, I'm gonna buy all of the Blu-rays. Yeah. I've been planning to do that ever since they were announced. I don't typically like buy anime, but like it's Aria, so I have to do it.
Yeah, there's only a few series that I own right now, but I'm definitely considering getting Aria.
You'd import it from Japan as soon as it comes out.
I'm definitely not getting the American release.
If it has subtitles, then yes. If not, then I'll just wait for the American release.
I think it's I mean, the UK will not get a release, and I mean unless like a miracle happens and someone at like a distributor is like a really big Aria fan, like we rarely get like the most popular of popular shows. Like I think the second season of Sword Art Online just got licensed like last month, so that kind of shows you like how little stuff gets licensed in the UK. So I doubt we'll get Aria. Maybe I'll buy like the American version though. But yeah, if anyone's watching this now, watch Aria right now. But I don't want to talk about Aria for the whole podcast, because I think we could talk about Aria for a whole hour. Going to go into our first game. By the way, all the games in this podcast are Aria themed, so I guess we are going to talk about Aria a little bit more. But yeah, so if anyone doesn't know how the podcast works, throughout the podcast we're going to play various games, and you can get points throughout the games. Matt's going to play against
Lose
Kenji.
again?
Yeah,
For the third time in a row.
he's going for a hat
Oh,
trick
boy.
of losses. There's going to be opportunities to pick up points, and at the end, whoever has the most points wins, and the loser has to watch a specific anime.
Can the winner choose the anime that the loser watches?
You can, because Matt's lost so many times.
I still haven't even watched
He
the
hasn't watched the one you're meant to watch.
First
So
penalty.
you can give him. The first one was I don't know if you've seen it. It's an ecchi show that came out I think in 2013 called "Wanna Be the World's Strongest," and it's
Is that the wrestling one?
yeah, it's a female wrestling one by Studio Arms, I think. That's
Damn.
normally the forfeit for losing, and I don't know if anybody's watched it yet. I think Anthony from Midnight Edge
Anthony
Reviews
watched it and he dropped it.
watched 2 episodes, and he's an absolute hero for that. But yeah, so if you lose again, Kenji has to pick you an anime to watch. I'll let him decide on that
third
for the
time.
show. But anyway, we'll get into our first game, which is Gondola Trivia. Trivia about gondola. So I hope you guys have brushed up on your gondola knowledge. This is about real life gondolas, not gondolas from Aria, because there are some differences. So the first question, there's going to be 3 questions about gondolas, and they're going to be multiple choice, so you're going to have 3 possible answers, and you guys are going to have to guess it. So the use of gondolas can be traced back as far as A, 1000 AD, B, 1000 BC, or C, the 1500s. So you guys can take as long as you want and think about that.
Is there any penalty for getting it wrong or no?
No, you just don't get a point.
Okay. I'm going to go with B.
So B,
Wait,
1000
what's B
BC.
again? 1000 BC?
Yeah.
What are the other choices?
1000 AD or the 1500s. So basically 2000 years ago, 1000 years ago, or 500 years ago.
Like what? C 1500 AD.
Yeah, that's just the 1500s, so 500 years ago.
Okay. Yeah.
So you're going for that, and Kenji, what are you going for?
I'm going for B, which is like 1,000 years ago, right?
Yeah, 1000 years ago. No,
It's
B,
BC,
no,
before Christ.
BC
That's
was
3,000 years ago.
that was-
around
yeah.
3,000.
Oh no, then I'll pick A then.
Yeah, AD. The correct answer is 1000 AD. So that's 1000 years ago. It says here a boat called a gondola is mentioned in a letter from Venetia Republic. So somebody, I mean they probably go
I
back
think that was
further
my
than that.
answer.
Yeah, they probably go back further than that. But I guess this is the first recorded sighting of a gondola in Venice, or what did they call it? Venetian Republic, whatever that was at the time. So yeah, 1-0 to Kenji.
Nice.
History repeats itself.
Matt is already seeing defeat. So that was a pretty hard question, to be honest. But the next one is a pretty interesting question here. So 200 years ago, there were 10,000 gondolas in use in Venice. Today, there are A, 5,000, B, 500, or C, 50. So how many gondolas are still in use today?
I think it's A.
You guys are both going for A.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, nobody's wrong. It's 500 gondolas. So, I mean, I don't know what's happening to gondolas, but I guess less people are using them.
Boats.
Oh, wow.
Motorboats.
Yeah. Maybe people are using motorized boats in Venice. And it said that, like, gondolas are purely used for, like, tourist stuff. Like, nobody actually uses gondolas to, like, go to the shops anymore or anything. Which is a shame, but we can just believe that... Well, I guess in Aria they do it for tourist reasons anyway, so... I guess actually the postman uses a gondola, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
So that's still 1-0 since nobody scored a point there. And question 3. Originally gondolas were made in many different colours, so they could be any colour, but as of the 16th century, a law was introduced that required all gondolas to be painted A, painted black, B, painted white, or C, painted with the inclusion of gold.
Ooh.
So there was a law introduced at the 16th century.
I'm gonna say painted black.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna say painted black too, because every time I see like pictures of Venice, I never see any other color of gondolas anyway.
Yeah, well, you guys are both right. They basically introduced it so that people wouldn't go crazy with the designs of their gondolas, and everybody would have a fair chance. That's why they introduced that rule. So that makes the score 2-1 to Kenji after our first game.
Yeah, I've been watching this anime recently. It's called Fantastic Children. It's quite an obscure title, but it's really interesting. It's this mystery about like these 11-year-old children who like have lived for years and years and years, and they live with a family for a certain time, and then they die and then like they reappear somewhere else in history, and it's kind of interesting. It's this really tense show, but it also has like this cartoony art style that kind of juxtaposes it. It's really interesting so far. I'm only 10 episodes in, so I don't really know what happens later on. But so far, I'm rather impressed just by like the tone and the use of surrealism throughout the series so far. Have any of you guys seen that, or?
Well, I hadn't even heard of it until it like popped up
I
on
haven't heard of it
Hummingbird.
until recently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to watch it though, because it does look very interesting, and it's one of those shows that has a very interesting art style that I kind of instantly makes me want to check it out. But also that plot summary of the children dying and reappearing of another family or whatever, that kind of reminds me of, have you guys seen the Princess Kaguya, the Ghibli movie?
Yeah.
I was gonna, but I don't like Ghibli very much, and it's supposedly a 2.5-hour film, and I don't know if I want to watch 2.5 hours of Ghibli.
Well, actually, to be honest, it's not as Ghibli as like other Ghibli films, if that makes sense. It's quite unique.
Like the art style is really
Yeah.
Traditional Japanese art or something like
Yeah,
that.
and the story isn't like kind of the normal Ghibli stuff, but it's actually just based on like a Japanese story, like a really old Japanese tale. And there's an episode of Mushishi about it as well, about these bamboo babies that are kind of like born from bamboo, and that kind of reminds me of that, where they kind of, I guess in that story they kind of grow up really quickly and then move on to another family. But I don't know if it's is based off that or not, but it sounds very similar to that. But I really like that kind of dynamic. From what I've seen, it kind of it attaches you to this the characters a lot more than other stuff. That kind of I presume they spend a lot of time with the families.
Not that much. They more so focus on like the mystery aspects, and there's a lot more other stuff going on in the story as well, other than just like the kids leaving their families and moving on to other ones.
Alright.
So it's a really interesting story because like there's a lot of elements coming together.
Yeah.
And there's this one big question of what's going on.
Is it episodic?
No, it's not episodic.
Alright. That could be quite interesting. What's the art style like?
The art style is like really cartoony. It's very similar to Astro Boy and like Metropolis and all of those works by that guy. Keep on forgetting his name.
Tezuka. Osamu Tezuka.
Yeah, Tezuka. It's very reminiscent of his works, but I don't believe he directed it or had any role in making it.
Yeah.
And it's really weird because even though the art style is like this really cartoony, like childish art style, the story itself is pretty dark. Like some messed up shit has been going on so far.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Kaiba in that sense because it has that art style, but at the same time, like it almost subverts your expectations of what the show's gonna be. And the same thing with the title, because like Fantastic Children, that sounds like a kid's show, but
yeah, that's what, like when I first seen it, I thought it was gonna be some kind of like slice of life, kind of episodic, maybe a little light-hearted comedy kind of thing, but it doesn't seem to be
it's
that.
definitely anything but that. No.
Yeah, I like art styles like Kaiba that are, I don't want to say childish, but like you said, cartoony. And there's that episode in Ergo Proxy where they do the same thing. I don't know what it is about kind of like cartoony art styles and very dark atmospheres, but it seems to work so well, because I guess I don't really know why, but maybe because it is such a
creates
contrast.
this like disturbing effect.
Yeah.
It Ergo Proxy actually has this in the episode where they have like
the Walt
Looney
Disney
Tunes,
episode.
in which like the entire atmosphere around the show is not I wouldn't say it's anywhere near lighthearted.
Yeah.
So to see things that are reminiscent of Looney Tunes and whatnot juxtaposed along with the world's atmosphere, the desolation of just the entire idea of the show, it really creates this sense of disturbance because it deteriorates the innocence that we probably had. To think about it, it's like when you learn that like Pokemon, if they ever exist in real life, they could all actually brutally murder you.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah, I guess it is that kind of subconscious, like subconscious expectations of what this art style is going to bring, and then what actually brings is kind of like surprising. And it is an interesting topic why those kind of art styles work so well, but they do. But so Kenji, if you could name one other anime that it's very similar to, one or two anime, like what would you choose, or is it just unlike anything else?
Yeah, it's pretty unique, but I guess because it has like a lot of like, it's because of the art style. I guess Metropolis and Kaiba, and for the mystery aspects, I mean honestly, there aren't a lot of mystery anime that like handle the actual like tension super duper well, but which this one so far has been doing. So I don't know about that. But
Maybe like Mononoke a little bit.
Yeah, Mononoke, but it's not the same kind of like tension as Mononoke. It's Mononoke is a lot more like stylistic
Yeah.
and direction heavy. This one just like
And I guess it's the
this
tension.
one's just like what's gonna happen next.
Yeah, the tension in
you know?
Mononoke is very out there. It's like it's a mystery about a murder or whatever. Maybe even Hibine Renmei is kind of like that. You don't really know what's
I guess
going on,
Hibine Renmei.
so it's kind of like the unknown, the fear of the unknown.
Higurashi, maybe the first season.
I haven't seen Higurashi.
Yeah, I've not watched Higurashi either.
The first season is sounds like what you guys are talking about in terms of the mystery of the unknown. There's like this invisible entity that surrounds the entire show, which creates this atmosphere of uncertainty, which is like what fuels the tension.
Yeah.
Because that is one of the most tense things that like a piece of media can do, a video game, whatever, is the unknown. Like obviously that's why Alien is such a good movie. The first Alien movie doesn't really show you the alien at all until the later half of the movie, but it's so tense, and just the music, the movie The Shining as well doesn't show you anything, but it's super tense. Yeah, that's another one of these kind of like subconscious, like unexplainable things. Is the mystery of the unknown is weirdly like intriguing for humans, which is pretty interesting.
It really is.
In like a way that like if you can't see it, then your mind is able to imagine whatever you're most fearful of.
Yeah, you kind of create it
Exactly.
inside your head. Yeah, but I mean it's definitely something I'm going to check out once I've finished watching my stuff that I'm watching just now. It looks very unique, and I think anything with a unique art style, like I'm instantly attracted to. Like that's something that not many anime do. Probably about 80% of anime just stick to the usual bog standard anime art style. So when something comes along that is even like slightly unique, like I'm instantly attracted to it, which is awesome. It's currently 2-1 to Kenji. We're going to go into our second game, which is this is an American TV show, and I've never actually watched it. You guys know the show The Price is Right?
Yeah.
I know of it, yeah.
So do you guys know how it works?
You guess the price or something, right?
Yeah, so
I think so, yeah.
So what happens is I think on The Price is Right, like it's not I don't think they really show it in the UK, but what happens is they come up with like a product, like a chair, and whoever guesses the price closest to that chair gets the chair. So we're going to be kind of doing like something similar to that, but we're going to do.
Are we gonna get a gondola?
I want a gondola.
I should have done it at the price of a gondola, but what we're doing is sales of each anime season for Aria. And I've got the very specific down to the very sale. There's like 3 points up for grabs. The first season, second season, third season. They whatever they sold in Japan. So I'll give you guys a clue. The first one's probably going to be a bit crazy, but like they did sell very well, like surprisingly. I'll let you guys guess. You guys can have as long as you want. No typing into Google though. And take a wild guess at what you think the first season of Aria sold for its Blu-rays.
The amount of volumes?
Yeah, like it will whatever it averaged.
Okay, I'll go with 12,000.
And Matt, you're going with?
15,000.
Okay, and the answer was 10,105, which is very, very good for an anime TV series, especially one that wasn't like insanely popular. But yeah, that's a point to Kenji. That's 3-1 to Kenji.
Nice. Beginner's luck.
You've still got plenty points to be won. So okay, so what about Aria season 2? Did it sell more? Did it sell less? It did sell roughly. I mean, again in that same kind of. So I'll give you guys a second to take an
I
estimation.
assume it's so less. 8,000?
I'll go with
8,500 around.
Okay.
10,000. 10,000.
8,500 versus 10,000. It was 9,646. That was a close one though. It's another point to Kenji. History is repeating itself.
It'll always repeat itself. This is just like the loop. This is Groundhog's Day or something.
Damn, this is the Tatami Galaxy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of episodes. One year like 12th
When am I
episode,
gonna
it can all
find
make
that
sense.
keychain that's gonna save me?
But that was a close one though. That was only a couple of hundred in it there. But so the third season of Aria. What did the third season of Aria sell?
8,500.
8,500.
I'll say 9,500.
It actually sold 13,000. That's
Oh, wow.
that's another point to Kenji. You kept underplaying it, Matt. You kept undercutting Aria, underestimating Aria.
That's what you get for underestimating Aria.
But yeah, 13. So 10,000 for the first season, 9,000 for the second season, and 13,000 for the third season. Hopefully, when it comes over to the West on its Blu-ray release, it can get we can buy. I'll personally buy 10,000 copies of Aria. A show that I've been watching called Dennou Coil. It is actually kind of weird because like over the last few years it's become really relevant because of this kind of Oculus Rift and Google Glass and stuff like that. But in this world, everybody wears glasses where the glasses kind of create extra like digital elements to the world. So you can have like a digital pet that you can only see with the glasses on, and only people with the glasses on can see. So it kind of creates this extra world. Yeah, I guess that's probably the best way to describe it. But it's kind of weird that it's like everything like the Oculus Rift and stuff have become like relevant over the last year and so.
Yeah.
I just tried on the Oculus Rift yesterday.
Really?
Literally. Yeah.
Oh, I've never even tried it.
It's a really interesting experience actually. Cause when I first heard about it, I didn't really think it be that impressive. I mean, the graphics aren't very impressive, but it's just for your entire peripheral vision, just to seeing this virtual world, this virtual reality set up around you.
Yeah.
It's really, I would say, trippy because.
Is it like is it like kind of it tricks your body into thinking that these things are actually real, like what you're seeing through the Oculus Rift?
Very subconsciously. I mean, the graphics aren't good enough yet for you to believe that the virtual world around you is anywhere remotely realistic.
Yeah.
But it's the first step, and yeah, it's an experience definitely trying on the Oculus Rift.
It's kind of like the Oculus Rift, like what you said, but in the show that it's like the technologies, like obviously they've made it so that it literally kind of you just wear glasses and it just literally adds to the world that you're I think I'm getting it right. I've only watched 10 episodes, so like I'm not exactly sure all the details, because it's a show that kind of like doesn't necessarily like it doesn't like sit and have like a kind of info dump where it tells you this and these glasses do this and this, which it quite nicely tells you it through very slowly for each episode. It like adds another element to the plot that you go, all right, okay. Which I think I really like about the world. It is probably my favourite part of the show, is the fact that it's so kind of it's kind of low key. That's why I don't really have much to say about it so far in terms of plot and stuff like that, because they don't really tell you much. They don't spell it out for you. They just kind of very slowly, they're kind of very slowly building up to something. But yeah, Kenji, you've watched all of it, haven't you?
Yes, I have.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you one thing. Yeah, I do agree it's really low key. But just get ready for the ending, because the ending is like really good and really powerful. I don't want to spoil too much, but it's a really good ending.
Well, I did have the feeling, because at the start, maybe even the first 4 or 5 episodes, I was like, well, this is a really good idea, but they don't seem to be doing enough with it for what I like. But then as the episodes started to go on, it started to pick up pace, and it started to add in elements, like really quite powerful elements, dealing with how actually like these glasses actually affect people and stuff like that, and talking about actual death and stuff like that, which is a really interesting theme. And now, as I'm getting on throughout the episodes, it's turning into something that was just a very low-key slice of life comedy, very simple, into something a lot more, And what I think about why that's so good is because it is so low-key, and even everything down to like the character designs and the world it's all greys, it's all very simple, not much detail. So when they do add these kind of like crazy sci-fi elements, it's even more impactful. And I'm guessing that's why the ending was so good. So Matt, you've not watched this, have you, Matt?
No, I haven't yet. I've known for it for a while now, and I plan to watch it one day.
Another really cool facet of Dennou Coil that I like a lot is the way that it covers like the effects technology have on children and on youth and like society as a whole, which is something that we get a lot through like cell phones and whatnot. And it's really interesting because like this show isn't that new. I think it's what year was it from?
I think it's like 2007, 2008 maybe earlier, maybe. I think so. But around that kind of time period.
As time goes on, we see the implications of this show like just grow more and more on our society, because the type of things that happen in this show are starting to happen with us. Like all the kids are playing with their phones, just like all of these kids are playing with their glasses.
Yeah, definitely. Because it has only really been like the last maybe 4 or 5 years that you have seen actual kids, like actual children, having mobile phones and being kind of connected to this digital world. And I guess if you did multiply that to the glasses into a literal digital world, where their world turns digitally, like, it is interesting to see how they deal with that and stuff like that. Because in the anime, everybody just has it. It's just like an accepted part of life. So it's like it's really interesting to see everybody interact with that and how it literally does like take over their whole lives. Everything they do in their lives is about the digital world, when in fact they could kind of take the glasses off and that would be that. But yeah, it is very interesting. It's kind of hard to compare to other shows. I'm trying to think of other shows that's like, but again, this is one that's pretty unique. But yeah, I'd say the strongest point about the anime is its atmosphere, and it is its kind of use of mystery and use of tension, use of not really telling the viewer anything, but slowly revealing that to the viewer, revealing little things, little details about everything, which I think that's the show's strongest point by far.
Yeah, I think a similar show, like not a super similar show, but there's some connections, would be Serial Experiments Lain, because it also deals with technology and like the effects it has on just society and people in general.
Yeah.
With Lain it was
definitely.
the internet, and here it's like you can connect it to the mobile phones. It like granted like Lain is a lot darker and much more surreal from the very start, while Dennou Coil is a little bit more lighthearted and like low key from the beginning.
I did see someone mention on Twitter that Dennou Coil is like the child's version of Lain. Like if Lain was made to not like destroy you mentally, then that's what Dennou Coil would be. Yeah, that's probably the best connection to make, because that is what both the shows are about. How technology kind of interferes with human life or whatever, and I think that will be relevant forever now that we've invented the internet and stuff. And it will be interesting to see if things like these kind of glasses technically these glasses have been made with Google Glass, which is literally a pair of glasses that obviously the technology isn't there to add stuff to the world you're in.
I mean, no, you can see random graphics that only you can see though with the glasses. Like you would be able to put on maps and contacts, and I think you can like surf the internet on the Google Glass. I'm not sure.
And there's also a video game on one of these like Oculus Rift things that actually takes your physical location and like maps it into a video game, but then turns it into like a horror map. So it'll like turn the walls, like put blood all over the walls and stuff like that. Obviously, it probably doesn't look that good, but I mean, this is all just like in the last year, which is pretty crazy to think that they made this kind of prediction. But it's always interesting to see sci-fi anime get things right. Like Ghost in the Shell was set in 2029, and it's been pretty accurate so far. Overall, it's a really nice show. Even without the sci-fi elements, it's really well written, really easy to watch. Characters are really nice. The animation's nice. Like the art style's really nice. It's overall a very nice show, and the sci-fi is just like a bonus for people that like sci-fi like myself.
I haven't seen that much sci-fi stuff. I should really get on more sci-fi titles.
Sci-fi is like my favorite genre by far.
Speaking of sci-fi, I recently watched Ergo Proxy, and that's also really interesting because Ergo Proxy slightly does the same thing in terms of how humankind becomes dependent over the androids slightly. That's like a small theme in the show near the end.
And it's kind of like, that's what happens if it all went wrong.
I haven't seen Ergo Proxy yet.
Ergo Proxy is definitely one of the better sci-fi shows. Like, sci-fi is like my most watched genre on Hummingbird, and it's definitely my favorite genre. I don't really know what it is about sci-fi. Maybe it's like the ability to kind of create any kind of world you want while keeping it realistic, because you can do that with fantasy anime, but there's that kind of level of disconnection when like someone shoots like laser beams out their magic wand or whatever, when in sci-fi everything's like an exaggerated version of something that exists in real life. So maybe that's why I like it.
I plan to watch it really soon because of all the good stuff I've been hearing about it.
It's really interesting because it's the kind of show that occasionally transcends its genre.
Yeah. Like
occasionally Ergo Proxy would go beyond the sci-fi genre, and it would touch upon these other things that you wouldn't think it touches upon, like game shows and.
That's cool.
That is one of like the one of my favorite parts about the show, and we touched upon it with the Walt Disney episode, is that it will, although it will keep its kind of core structure, it will like branch off and do like a whole episode in a completely different style, completely different kind of focus, and completely different themes to explore. That's definitely one of my favorite parts about the show.
That sounds really interesting.
It is one of the more I don't want to say deep because people use that word too much, but it is one of the more layered, one of the more in-depth shows out there in terms of its content and its themes and stuff like that. A lot of people don't like it, but because of that reason. But
really?
I think a lot of people think, oh, it's too deep and it doesn't handle it well. But generally, from people that I like kind of respect their opinions have all liked it and stuff like that. But it is a show that like it's not going to like explain itself to you in bold.
No,
bold writing.
definitely.
Yeah.
You do need to think about what's happening and take all the information in. It's not really something you can just like.
But it's
sit
not that
back
hard
and
to
turn your
understand
brain
either.
off.
It's not up to the level of something like, say, Technolize or
Yeah.
Serial Experiments Lane.
Blame
it's
or
not,
yeah.
not that drastic, but there is a level of you trying to put the pieces of the puzzle together.
Mhm.
And also, there's some mystery to Ergo Proxy as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's also very Ridley Scott-esque, like 1980s Ridley Scott. There's like a lot of themes from Blade Runner and Black Rain, some of his earlier films. You see, the thing is that Ergo Proxy has a very Western feel to it too, especially in the first half. There's occasionally takes a more Western narrative approach, I would say,
Yeah, definitely.
because it doesn't tell its story like how anime normally would tell its story.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely has that kind of atmosphere that shows like Technolize and Lane have, where it's very dark, and dark isn't something anime normally does. Anime is normally quite colourful and stuff, which is, I guess, referring back to Dennou Coil again, it has that same colour palette as Dennou Coil and Technolize and Lane, where it uses very low-key colours, very little detail, and not like... You'll notice if you pay attention to anybody's outfits in these kind of shows, they're wearing very like basic clothes. Like they don't have like prints on their t-shirts. They don't have like really fancy jackets, flashy jackets or anything like that. It's all very like grey t-shirts, grey jumpers, stuff like that. Which I think, like I said about Dennou Coil, then lowers your kind of not lowers your expectations, but kind of lowers your guard. And so when the bigger kind of plot points or whatever happens, twists, you're even more impactful, which is the same thing about Ergo Pro.
You know what that really reminds me of? Have any of you guys heard of the manga Blame?
No, I've not actually.
Or no?
No, I haven't heard of it.
Oh, that's surprising. It's this sci-fi manga, which is like very visual, and the whole story is told like through visuals, very little dialogue throughout, similarly to like shows like Technolize and to a degree Serial Experiments Lane. And the first time I read it, like, I completely missed the point. It's like one of those works where if you're not paying attention and reading it really slowly, like, the point will just completely go over your head. And I talked to a lot of people who have read it, and most of them, like, completely missed what was going on their first read. So it's a really interesting work, and it also does have that really, like, it doesn't have colors because, like, it's a manga, but its visual style is a little bit more low-key, but there's a lot more, some parts are really, like, technical, and it uses a lot of the like sci-fi imagery that you typically see, which is really cool, but it usually juxtaposes that with a lot like simpler looking scenes in between.
Yeah.
So it's a really interesting manga. I'd recommend it.
I'm actually going to go into our third and final game. Obviously, Matt, unfortunately you have lost. There's no way you're going to pull back 4 points from this game, but we're going to play it anyway. I can't even let you know what the game's about until you've started the game, so I guess we'll start with Matt. So Kenji, if you want to leave the call, and then I'll type in the chat when you can join back once we've finished it.
Alright.
Okay, so what this is, name as many Aria characters in 30 seconds as possible. Okay, 3, 2, 1, go.
Akari, Aika, President Aria, President Hime, President Ma, Alice, Athena, Alicia, Akira, Ao, Woody, Akatsuki, Anna, Grandma. Does that like the cat count? That like fancy cat?
Oh, the king of the cats. Yeah, I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
All right.
And you're out of time.
Fuck. Who shit.
That was good though. You got 17. No, 16. You got 16 there. That was very good. So Kenji, are you ready?
I am ready.
As soon as I tell you what the question is, it starts. Okay?
Okay.
And you have 30 seconds to name as many Aria characters as possible in 30 seconds, starting now.
Okay. Woody, Alice, Aika, Alicia, Aria, President Aria.
Yep.
President Ma. Al.
Yep.
Damn, I have to think now. Akatsuki.
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
Oh, time's up.
I can't remember anymore.
Time's
okay.
up. Oh, you got 13.
Nice.
And
I won though.
Matt got
But I
16.
lost.
Matt pulled back a point there to make it 5-2, but At the end of the day, 3 points from winning. So Matt,
Should have been worth 3 points since it was the last round.
yeah, I normally do that, but I don't think I could do that there. That would have ended in a draw as well. Kenji, you have won Anime Hanashi on your debut episode. You win the trophy.
Nice.
You win the physical trophy that you will be sent in the post, and a medal, and the $1,000 you get as a prize money. No, but the real prize is getting to tell Matt what.
All right, I got a good one for you, Matt. Have you ever heard of Apocalypse Zero?
Oh, Apocalypse
No.
Zero.
Apocalypse Zero. And I also request that you watch this dub because the dub is particularly good. It's only 2 episodes. It's really short, but it's an interesting title.
Is this like
to say the
a 80s OVA? Oh, it is an OVA, but it's from the
Yeah.
90s, so
90s OVA.
Apocalypse Zero.
I don't want to spoil much because I don't want to ruin your experience with that.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Matt, I don't want to get
I
you
gotta
too
watch.
hyped out, Matt.
I gotta watch
but it
the
has
first one first, though.
It has a 4.49 average score on Mal. I don't want to get you too excited, but
Low scores on Mal. That's my favorite.
it actually has some reviews.
That's how you know it's really good. Because the people in Mal just don't understand.
So Matt, next
Yeah.
time you're on Anime Hanashi, you will have watched this and you'll give us a little review. You refuse to watch Wanna Be the World's Strongest, but this looks like something that's easy to watch. It's only 2 episodes. It's not a TV series. It's action. It's demons. It's ecchi. It's horror. It's mecha. It's sci-fi, and it's superpower. That is the genre.
And it's a masterpiece. And it is a masterpiece.
Oh wait, 38 minutes per episode. Okay, that's going to be a little harder to watch, but we'll pop in next time Matt's on Anime Hanashi, and we'll catch up with him about Apocalypse Zero. I almost said Apocalypse Now, but Apocalypse Zero. But that's...
Can I watch Apocalypse now?
No, it has to be Apocalypse Zero. But yeah, so that's been the 5th episode of Anime Hanashi. Thank you both for coming on. Check out both Matt's and Kenji's channels. I'll put them in the description, but yeah, you guys can say goodbye.
Alright. Yeah, see you next time.
See, watch Aria. Don't forget to watch Aria.
Always watch.
Yeah. Don't forget to watch Apocalypse Zero.
That too.
Should all
The
watch it.
spiritual sequel to Aria.